Okay, hi guys, what's up? This is Alicia. I am one of the founders of National 3D Day, and I am going to be addressing a question that I see a lot of people asking lately. A lot of people have been getting into holography lately, a lot of people have been collecting holograms, and a lot of people are coming across the same basic problem, or basic, yeah, it's not exactly, it's a problem. People are experiencing that their holograms, which might have been, this is something that's really reflective. I was putting this in here because it was keeping the hologram straight, but I think it might be really reflective, too reflective for this video. So I'm just going to take this out for a second. Excuse me. Sorry about that. But either way, hold on a second. I have to use my other hand. But either way, people are asking a lot of questions about what is happening to their holograms, that they're going through a color change, and basically holograms are going from this golden color, which you see on the bottom right or left, whichever way you're looking at it, and they're shifting into this like ultraviolet, this very blue ultraviolet range. And what that is actually something called Blueshift. It really depends on what type of material your hologram is made out of. This is a photopolymer, and it's still Blueshift no matter which way it's going, which type of hologram you have. But a lot of people are basically, holograms are getting old. A lot of holograms were made in the 70s, 80s, 90s, maybe early 2000s, and they really didn't have a market like beyond the 80s and stuff like that. And so a lot of holograms are basically showing their age. And holograms, I remember I was asking Dr. Laser, which is Jason Sapin, who has the oldest hologram studio, which is on 26th Street and 2nd Avenue. And I was asking him this question, and he told me an answer that was a little bit sad. He's like, all holograms are born to die. And I was like, oh, that's actually really sad. But basically what's happening here is that this is going through something called Blueshift. And just like redshift, in astronomical terms, is an astronomical term of measurement that's kind of like a Doppler effect. Basically, when something's moving away from you very fast, like when a planet is moving away, and or a star or whatever, and the light stretches out, it goes into the red wavelength of light, which is a lot longer than the blue wavelength or the ultraviolet wavelength, which is a lot shorter. And basically what this is doing is this is reflecting spectral color. So basically there's two things going on. There's bandwidth, which if you could see kind of, let me put on a proper light. Hold on a second. This is just like my bathroom light that's on, and I'm going to just put on a spotlight very quickly. So this will properly light them. So there's a lot of things that are going on with a hologram. Holograms age, they are prone to oxidation, which is basically like environmental factors that are coming in. And this set of holograms, I was just checking, I was like trying to pick out holograms for National 3D Day, and I'm going to be doing some videos on some, I'm going to be displaying some. And so there's a couple of things going on here that you could see. First of all, if I turn this like upside down, kind of like to the side, so you could see that there's a picture in this hologram when I'm turning it the right way, right? Holograms have to be lit in the direction that they were created. So like when the laser hits it, it needs to be lit in the same fashion. So if I turn it upside down, like you might not see anything, but if I'm going to turn it around here, and you could see like the range of colors. There's really a spectral range of colors going on here. And that's basically showing you the bandwidth that it can reflect. So this can reflect a lot of range of colors. This was a very bright hologram when I originally bought it. It was, and it wasn't that many years ago that I was buying it, and that it was a proper, like, it was in the right color range, or at least I thought it was. It used to be in this very, very, very bright yellow, like very golden color range, and it's shifted over time into this yellow, greenish cyan to blue, and blue to violet, and then it's like this ultraviolet. And like you can even see, if I turn the hologram this way, you'll be able to see this, yeah, somewhere right over here, this very beautiful, and I think it's a beautiful color, but there you go. You see that? That's when you know a hologram is shrinking to the point of no return. It's basically going to go into the ultraviolet spectrum. It won't be able to be lit by white light anymore. You might be able to light it with ultraviolet light, and then after that, it's going to be gone forever. So this is something that you can't control. This specifically on photopolymer is from the material shrinking. So let's say like I had a photocopier and I wanted to like take a picture and I say reduce it 10%. Basically, that's what's going on here. The material itself is shrinking. And when you're reflecting light, when you're reflecting colors of the spectrum, basically, on a photopolymer, it's different than a specifically a dichromate gelatin hologram, which also displays. This is a very good example of this. This is displaying that very blue greenish fringe on the edges. This is due to environmental factors and oxidation. Am I saying that right? Oxidation. It's like 3 a.m. I'm like just trying to get everything ready in my house to like get ready for National 3D Day. So I'm like up all night doing stuff. But you can see, let me see if I can light this correctly. Maybe I should turn it around. So you can see that this is really coming in from the edges only, and it's not uniform. And although this is kind of uniform and in the sense that it's really going from one end to the other, you could see that there's a shrinkage going on here that's not happening towards the edges because these are small pieces that are cut out, and they're like, you know, they're die cut stickers. Basically, they're just die cut out of one piece of material that is shrinking from one side. So basically what is going on here, and I was just talking the other day about I'm going to turn the light back on, excuse me for a second. So I was talking the other day about a hologram exhibition that I saw from Matthew Schreiber, who had it was a number of holograms in a row that was called Freemason Rainbow, and that was made during the development process. That was probably a hologram like this. The dichromate gelatin is much like a photographic process. You have an emulsion, and the emulsion is gelatin. That's why it's DCG, dichromate gelatin. That's what it stands for. And basically, when you are in the development process, you can do something that's called swelling your emulsion. And when you swell the emulsion, it basically makes it fatter. So like an emulsion might be this, it might have been recorded this thick, but maybe when you swell it, it becomes this thick. And when it becomes thicker, when it becomes fatter, it bounces around the wavelength of light into a smaller and smaller a wavelength until it can turn green, or if it could turn, like, you know, it could go from orange to yellow to green to blue to violet to ultraviolet. And so that's how you get color in a hologram that you have, like something like a development process. And a photopolymer is a little bit different. This is more like I want to say like I could compare it more to like a plastic. It's more like a resin. And basically, this doesn't get a development process. This is more like instant film, like the same way that Polaroid would be an instant film, but like it actually has the developer inside the little packet, like whatever. But this basically, this gets cured in white light. So as soon as you take the laser off of it, you could throw it in a room full of like, you know, just incandescent white light bulbs, or if they don't make them anymore, like fluorescent, whatever color, whatever type of material it is. And so that's how this gets cured. Once it gets cured, it gets like cemented basically. And so it basically like carves into it. So when it carves this like pattern, oh my God, when it carves this pattern into it, basically that is what is making the hologram, like, you know, it's carving the pattern into it. So like, you know, it might be fat like that, or it might be, it basically is a material shrinkage. This happens in mechanically linear polarized material. There's material called vectograms. There's a 3D there's a 3D format called vectograms. Stereojets are like that also. They're polarized, they're physical polarized prints that are printed on polarized material that was mechanically stretched, and over time it's shrinking. So this is what's happening to your holograms that are going through this blue shift. It's not that they're swelling like you would have in a DCG hologram, where you actually have a swelling of material, and that's what's going on around the edges, because these are very susceptible to environmental factors if they're not sealed on the edges. And this is like a 40-year-old hologram. This is made by Bob Schlesinger, and I'll put on the light again real quick. And you can see that it really is only happening around the edges of the hologram. And that's something that's due to moisture actually swelling the gelatin, even though the gelatin was, it went through like the same sort of like stop bath and fixer and stuff like that, like a normal photographic process would have. And it basically cements the gelatin into the pattern that will reflect the light in the way that it's holographic. And so that's something that is actually swelling. Whereas something like the Polaroid substrates, or the excuse me, what am I saying? Photopolymer substrate, that actually shrinks over time. So when you have something that is a hologram that is going through Blueshift and it's turning bluer, that means that it's shrinking, 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 and one day it won't be visible under white light, and that's what that is. So I hope that clears stuff up, and please, holographers, if I'm not explaining this correctly, chime in when you see this video. I'll post it on my other account because most people follow that account, not this account. And that's it, and I hope everybody is going to have a fun National 3D Day, no matter what you do, and I hope you celebrate no matter where you are. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.